20 years ago, autism and Asperger's were not very well understood in the ways that they are today. It was estimated that the disorder affected 1 in about 2,000 children, but these numbers have been revised today to actually be about 1 in 68 children. Last spring, I just found out that I am among that number. Yes, I have autism spectrum disorder. Now, even though more and more people are being diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder and Asperger's, it's still a very widely misunderstood condition. There's lots of myths and misunderstandings that continue to circulate and are held as being true by a large majority of the population. Now, this speech is designed to examine a few of these myths, debunk them, and then I'll be giving you an insight into what it means to be an Aspie. Now, you notice the term I just used there, Aspie. You probably haven't heard it before. Those with autism spectrum disorder have come up with the term for themselves, Aspie. Now, see, the term Aspie is tied into a movement is tied into a sort of recent movement that seeks to redefine autism spectrum disorder, not as a disorder, but as just a condition, a different perspective on looking at the world. And I consider this speech to be a small contribution to that movement, as I think that currently those with autism get pigeonholed into a few different stereotypes, such as super geniuses who can't interact with anybody at all, such as in Rain Man, or as laughable idiots who are just there for our amusement, such as in The Big Bang Theory. And here are some clips of both of those.
Where is he?
Ball pit.
Thanks for not calling the cops.
Oh, hey, it's no big deal. My sister's got a kid who's special.
Yeah, well, he's extra special.
Coffee?
Yes, that'd be good.
Sally Tips Sally. 461-0192.
How did you know my phone number?
How'd you know that?
She said read the telephone book last night. Tips Sally. 461-0192.
Myth number 1. Only males can have ASD. Now, this one is a classic stereotype. Now, female autism spectrum disorder occurs about as frequently as it does in men, but girls are less likely to be diagnosed because the symptoms manifest themselves in a different way. They tend to be more conciliatory. So a boy, when they make a social faux pas, they will get angry and rage and act out, and this leads them to being diagnosed. But a girl with autism will make a social faux pas and then profusely apologize if they've hurt somebody's feelings or they can see that it went wrong. And this is a key aspect of ASD in girls. It's a coping mechanism. Girls with ASD will often copy or mimic the most popular girls to get by. As Tony Attwood says, the famous professor who's amazing in the field of autism, they will fake it till you make it. And it's a very good strategy for them. Myth number 2. People with ASD lack empathy. Now, this is one that goes around quite a bit, saying that like those people with autism or Asperger's, they're just sort of in their own worlds and there is no recognizing emotions in others. But that's not true at all. Completely false. It's not that we don't have empathy, it's just that it's maddening trying to express it. We have extreme difficulty in expressing our thoughts and feelings. Let's see, a quote from Tony Attwood, one of his lectures. One of our favorite phrases that you'll hear from somebody with autism is, "I don't know." Tony Attwood has a great little continuation of this. I'll quote it now. "I don't know how to sort the many thoughts and feelings in my mind, pick one, and articulate it to you in words." So doing that for an autistic person is incredibly difficult. Myth number 3, ASD is a disease and needs to be cured. This one I take a lot of issue with. ASD is not a disease, it's a condition. In fact, the UK has recently changed the definition within their medical textbooks to, instead of listing it as autism spectrum disorder, listing it as autism spectrum condition, because it's not a disorder, there's no curing it, it's impossible to be cured. It's just how someone's brain functions. It's a way of looking at the world, not a disease, not something that makes you defective. Now with these myths, I've basically been saying what it's like to not be an Aspie. But what does it mean to be an Aspie? That's an interesting question. Now here is a very, very great movie clip. If you want to understand what it means to be an autistic person, at least in some fashion, I highly recommend looking up the HBO movie Temple Grandin. It's amazing.
In our minds, we can still see them. So I think it would be best not to remember Chestnut like this. Okay?
I see Chestnut the day I arrived. I see grooming Chestnut. I see a picture of a horse just like Chestnut in a book. You pass a Chestnut horse on Route 119 near a feed store. There was one in a calendar at Aunt Anne's. There was one in Life magazine opposite the page of Mr. Kennedy.
Okay, okay. Can you bring everything you've seen to your mind?
Sure.
Even if it were an everyday object like, say, shoes?
I see all the shoes I've worn, and my mother's, and other people I've met, and you have 3 pairs. One needs a new heel, and there's shoes in newspaper ads and TV ads. And...
Wow.
Can't you?
So, in conclusion, autism and Asperger's are becoming more and more prevalent in our society, not because they're being spread, but because we're just getting better at identifying those with the condition. And with this better identification and more of them, I think we need to look at how we view them and change our thinking. And perhaps this speech has helped you do that today. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.